Hello everyone and welcome to Star Triangle Mouse. Today we're going to test the next update. It's coming on September 11th, I think, but I'm playing it today on September 1st. I'm going to try the new thing, so I'm going to create basically a normal, well, maybe a large world, but with a ton of continents, like 4 maybe, something like that. Yeah, 8. That's 2 cultures on each continent. That should be good. And yeah, we're going to keep it at 50% land percentage. That should be a lot of oceans because a new update makes the naval battles a lot more interesting. And I'm going to try maybe the Caribbean pirates culture. I did buy the new DLC for the Oceanic cultures, but I don't think it's going to be here in the beta. And we'll see how these new rules work, also with the new trading rules. That should be very interesting. I will show you all about it very soon. We are in the Neolithic era, and we can really see here in the horses and copper resources that we found in this continent that there is a number underneath them. That's how many units of this resource we're going to get here. So this is one of the first changes that had been announced. Each resource deposit is going to give you a certain number. This should make things way more interesting. We can see here one of the new events of the game, and it's starting to get really a lot of events. So it's very interesting how they keep increasing these ones. And here this is about crossing a stream, and we can get a discount on sailing and fishing, or getting buoyant, which I think is not useful so early in the game. I guess this one is going to be discarded every time. Or just, you know, getting swift and moving faster if we decide to march. Well, to my surprise, the cultures of the DLC are actually in the preview, so that's very interesting. And we can see here the first Oceanic culture, Pamaneugan. So you have Nyungan, sorry, I mispronounced that one. We have more influence on landmark parts and more influence on natural wonders. I have not found any in this map just yet, so that's a shame. I'm still going to test it, of course. We have a range unit. I always like having unique range units, so I will try this one. And we have the fish trap as a new district that can get us more food on adjacent rivers especially. And we are about to see the first fight with our new unique unit, the boomerang throwers. This is evenly matched. It's on Humankind difficulty, so this should be actually an easy fight. But we can see here, for example, the problem with units that replace the archers. This is a very common problem. We have it already with the Olmecs, and we have it again with this new culture. We don't have indirect line of sight, so that is quite an issue. And even from here, apparently I don't have enough range. So that's pretty bad overall. Just because of this action alone, I will say this new unique unit is just clearly worse than a regular archer, which is going to be a huge problem for this new culture in the game. And we can appreciate the new interface in the game when we are getting 3 horses from this particular deposit. Not any copper yet, but it should be 5. And we can see that there is a change now when the animal barns might stop being so ridiculously overpowered, because in this case, instead of getting 5 food from having 1 horse resource as it would have been in the past, I will not get only 3 food. So you could end up getting less than before from the animal barns, and I imagine from the forge as well. Also, the new interface shows the resources like this. In the instance, we can see the cumulative effect and the diversification effect. Well, during the war with my neighbor the zoo, we can see here that I'm actually winning the war. But also I go to an administrative center here and I can do a new action, which is poaching the resources. You might have seen this from the preview. This is very interesting. We target a trade relay. So, oh, wait a second. Here it says so. 4 copper, 2 something something dice, I think that is. 1 marble, 3 papyrus. Okay, that's perfect. Let's do it. Let's get all of that stuff. Well, unfortunately, this first test will have to end here. They attacked me with just 1 unit, but it stayed behind the walls, and because I couldn't use my 3 archers to attack it at the same time, because I simply don't have the range, the unit managed to survive 1 more turn, so this other army that had been running away before upgraded the warriors to swordsmen, and now it's obviously destroying me. So yeah, basically the conclusion of that is that this unit is extremely weak. I will probably never play with this culture, just like I never play with the Olmecs. In this test I am actually playing with the zoo, and you can see here I have a unique unit for which I don't have the 6 horses per turn that I would need. I have 3. It's telling me that without the designated number of resource accesses, this constructible's production cost is increased by 30%. That's because I'm 3 resources short. So that's how the new system will work. And it's, I think, pretty clear, pretty easy to understand. And now we are going to try the Polynesians. They are intrepid navigators, so we don't get damage from being lost at sea, and that will be very interesting to explore the world a lot earlier than anyone else, although of course it would take some time because we don't have a lot of movement. But I like how this district fits itself. The more you have of them, the better they are, because they give more influence and more faith per each one of these districts that you actually have built. This is very interesting. It motivates you to expand a lot and build a lot of these emblematic districts. It's very interesting that this district actually gives you minus 15 stability per adjacent district on Marais. So let's see that in practice. If I do it here, it's minus 28 influence. So I need to make sure that these guys are always very isolated. Like here, for example, would be a good place. Well, we have a different map now, and the reason for that is that I keep restarting because I don't know if this is intentional or I have just been very unlucky, but I keep getting really weak maps and I just keep losing very early. It looks like in this beta the AI is building a ton of units, even more than before, which is quite a lot to say considering I always play in Humankind difficulty. But yeah, I'm finding them really tough to beat, and I'm getting, for example, here, this is where I settle, right? And you can see there are a few resources here, but then there is a lot of empty land, or at least no early game resources here, no luxuries either, a lot of empty land here, just a few resources, all of them together. And you can see how with so much empty land around you it's difficult to get ahead. Even the land that the AI has doesn't have so many resources, but of course they had the bonuses of Humankind difficulty, so they can compensate for that. Anyway, I don't know if the new resource system is actually going to make the resources a little bit more scarce. I don't know if there was something changed into the AI for them to build more units. I did notice as well that they're building a lot of these naval units, the Pentacounters. That being said, I did create a map with 4 different continents for 8 civilizations, so obviously there is a lot of sea. I did that intentionally. Maybe that is the reason why these guys are building so many ships. I already sank a few of those actually during the war, which is taking me a little while longer than I expected because the Maya somehow got the territory here in the other continent, so I couldn't just finish them off completely. All in all, it's been really harder than usual to get a good start in this beta. For now, I'm turn 84 and I'm going into the medieval era. I've been using the Polynesians quite a lot, but I didn't, for example, build the unique unit, this guy here. I don't think this emblematic unit is going to be so important throughout the games, so that makes the Polynesians a little bit weaker, but I really like the idea of going into the ocean in the classical era, even if it's very slow, of course, because we lose 50% of the movement, but that is still decent. And these guys, we are getting quite a lot of influence with them, so I like them. I managed to build them all isolated, so I don't lose the stability, and as you can see here, we are already generating a very nice amount of influence from having many of those districts. So that was very nice. And we are going into the medieval era, and we are going to get, of course, the new guys. Where are they? Oh, here they are, Rapa Nui. So we are getting a new unit, some nice industrial bonus on coastal waters. That's really nice. Applies Makemaker's Eye for 5 turns to newly created cities. I don't know if this means that it only applies to newly created cities. If it only applies to newly created cities, that's going to be very weak actually. And we have the Moai, and the Moai will give us some food and some faith, which is, you know, it doesn't give any, it counts as a religious district. I did get the civic that allows me to build religious districts faster. So all of the districts that count as religious will get built faster. That's nice. I also have the pyramids, so I can get a lot of these guys fast, but they're only going to give me faith and food. They're not going to give me any production, and we are a builder culture. So let's see how we compensate for that with the Rapa Nui. And we also have the new trade screen, so we can see here that I have the treaty to trade luxuries. And there are 7 sages here. I can buy 1 more. I can also buy 2 units of paper. The first one will give me the diversification effect, 1 science per research technology, which is quite a lot. But the next one is only going to give me, I mean, if I buy 2 units of paper, the second unit is only going to give me the cumulative effect, which is 10 science per paper when a leverage intel is collected, which is not happening so often. So the first unit is the one that I really want here. Each unit costs 100 gold, which is a lot. So I'm going to buy just 1 unit. And I will buy the sage because even the cumulative effect is not so good as the other one, but it's still good, right? You get +3 food or main plus an administrative center for the first unit. That's a diversification effect. But all of the other guys give you +2, which is still very decent. So I will keep accumulating those units. And that's how the new trading screen works. Very, very nice. I really like this one. I think it's much, much better than the system we had before. I'm just making a pause on the strategy here to show you the artwork of an administrative center that I created while being Rapa Nui. I just really like it. I don't know, it's super, super nice. I don't know why I like it so much, I just really like it. Then we have another Polynesian administrative center around here, but I really like the other one a lot. They're all very nice though. The artwork in Humankind as usual is just beautiful. We can see here a fun thing about the Rapa Nui culture. You can do the first moai in any city, and then in the territories that already have 1 moai, you can build the second one, which is just the same as the previous one, only another 10 influence added to the full mix. That's a very unusual mechanic, but I kind of like it. It's very original. I like everything that makes these cultures unique. And of course, a second moai is built right on top of the first one, so it's the same tile. You don't actually need another tile to build a second moai. You just add a little bit of faith and 10 more culture points on top of the moai that you already have. And you can see how the moais can keep accumulating. Now in this particular territory I can build moai 3. After building moai 2, that's another 5 influence, 5 food, and another 2 faith. So I just keep adding stuff on top of what I already had, always on the same tile and always for very little production. Well, I finished the moai 3 and we can confirm that I don't have a moai 4 here, so it's only up to 3. Still very nice to have a district that you can just build on top to improve its yields. And as the game advances, we finish the medieval era with Rapa Nui. We are trying to catch up in fame, but as you can see, the leader, the Axumites, they're over here. Well, the former Axumites, they are now the Aztecs. They are pretty strong, but we should be able to catch up in the second half of the game. We have at this point 12 era stars in the medieval era, so we are going to the stronger part of the game in Humankind, which is when you catch up, starting in the early modern. I was thinking about doing a full game unedited with the DLC, so you know what, for this one I will actually try the Caribbean Pirates. They don't have a unique emblematic quarter, but that's fine because I don't have a lot of stability in my cities right now to start building a lot of extra quarters. Okay, we get more percentage of everything whenever we poach resources. So what we're going to do is we're going to start poaching the resources of the Aztecs. Anyway, this could be very, very nice. We are going to try the Caribbean Pirates. I'm going to leave the Maori for the full gameplay of the Oceania DLC that I will record very soon. Let's see how this guy works. So we are now playing as the Caribbean Pirates, and as you can see here, there is a one player really getting ahead in fame. That's the Aztecs. I mentioned them before, so when I click on them I can see their trade routes apparently. They seem to have some trade routes going through Iberian and Fomalhaut, so you know, since most people can really get into the ocean, I guess I can do this. So the best way to see the trade routes with the new system is to go to the trade screen. And now we know that we want to herd the leaders of the game. They started here in Asher, and we know that the trade routes have to go to their capital, right? So obviously I'm not going to their territory. Well, we can do something in the ocean here in Aldilia, for example, and I'm actually already doing something over here in Iberia. And we make another little pause in the strategy. I just wanted to show you what the administrative center looks like when you are playing with the pirates. It's just super cool. I really, really love the artwork here. As we learn more and more about the poaching ability, we have come across a new situation. So we have this little naval unit here. It's a Karak, and we are in a trade node in the ocean. and we check the trade notes and we see that this is a hostile one, right? So I put my cursor here and I see that Limon is buying, Beowulf is selling. Now Beowulf is my enemy. I'm about to declare war on him actually. We can see Beowulf here. My war support is 100. I'm actually sending units to his land right now. And still I cannot poach. So what's going on here? Well, I try to figure it out and I think I understand. Here we see resources sold, resources bought, and then internal trade, and we say here Livia Drusilla is extracting. She's extracting some stuff and bringing it to her capital. And I think the reason I cannot poach this is that I actually have good relations with Limon. So Limon is here, and we can see here that in our treaties we have a non-aggression pact. So yeah, that seems to be the reason. So I'm finding it very hard right now to poach anything at all because I'm getting along with everyone except for the Poles, for Beowulf. That's the guy I'm going to attack with my Caribbean pirates. Anyway, it's good to understand all of these icons. So 1 arrow for bought, 1 arrow for sold, and the shield for the internal trade. Another one of the changes to trade is that the trade routes require some maintenance. So in this particular game right now, apart from the Poles, really I'm getting along with everybody. And let's see if I check the trade routes and I look for my routes. Well, I have quite a lot of them, as you can see here and there. I'm buying a lot of resources from everybody and I'm paying a lot of money on trade route maintenance, 1460. So that's something we will have to consider when managing our economy. I'm in the middle of the war and I just wanted to confirm that the new Buccaneer unit, they can move and attack at the same time. I just moved them in this turn and now I can still attack, and as you can see, well, against the peasant they're extremely strong, but they're even pretty good against the Jaguar warriors. So very nice unit. I like the gunpowder units that can move and attack at the same time, so I'm very happy with this. So after we conquer Nineveh from our enemy and killed a bunch of units, we got basically all of the military secret stars. So we are now going to go straight into the industrial era, and unfortunately I'm leaving the Caribbean pirates behind. I couldn't really use a lot of their poaching ability because at this point basically I have a bunch of alliances with this guy and with these two guys, and I'm at peace with these guys, and here we have a non-aggression pact. So really I could only poach the guy that I was at war with. This one was my ally before these guys turned them into their their vassal. So I couldn't really poach a lot of trade routes with the Caribbean pirates. I didn't really play a strategy that allowed me to get the most out of them. But if you get to the early modern era early and you don't have a lot of alliances, I think their strategy should be fun. Anyway, we are now leaving them behind and we are going into the industrial era. And of course, we are going to pick the Hawaiians. We can see we are going to be first to industrial era. So we are already catching up in development, and even in fame we can see we are already fourth and not so far away from the first guys, which are going to be completely destroyed in this war. So it should be fairly easy to catch up in the later part of the game. When it comes to the Hawaiians, we have +5 influence per workers. Really nice. I have a lot of influence already. I think these oceanic cultures allow you to get a lot of influence even when you are not playing with aesthetic cultures, which is very interesting, very unusual. We have the Koa warriors here. I'm obviously going to upgrade my units to Koa warriors as quickly as possible. And then we have a very nice emblematic quarter, which gives us a lot of food per adjacent ocean. Having so much coast as we do in this game, we should be able to get the most out of it. We got into the industrial era and we see here one of the new wonders in the game, the Royal Palace of Papet. I don't exactly know how to pronounce it, but anyway, if there's someone in the video that knows how to pronounce this, please say it in the comments. Because I conquered my initial continent very early, I didn't have a lot of osmosis events, but we would have a lot of frequency, plus 100% if we actually build a wonder. And of course I'm conquering territory in a new continent, I will have borders there, so there should be some osmosis events. That's very nice, especially with the ideological proximity always maxed out. Just a quick stop again on the strategy part of the game to mention that the halberdiers with the new artwork for Oceanic cultures look absolutely great. I really like this drawing, they look so aggressive, they are pretty awesome. These are the musketeers, by the way, but really the halberdiers are the ones that look the most intimidating. And once again we make a stop along the way to appreciate the artwork. I did a renovation of the administrative center here in Nineveh, just to check the artwork for the Hawaiian culture, and we can see this is a Hawaiian city, well, a Hawaiian main plaza, I guess. Very, very nice as usual. I'm really enjoying the artwork for this new update. This is just a quick example of the new naval battle system, so you can see even though I'm attacking here and I have range attack against his embarked knights, I still get a little bit of damage. Of course, there's a technological difference, that is an embarked unit and mine is a sloop, so obviously I'm much stronger, but I'm still receiving up to 5 points of damage from retaliation. Now against more similar units this could be more relevant, and it is going to make naval battles much more interesting, so not so easy for the culture that is actually attacking. Well, the game continues. We have conquered some nice land here, then our good friend Livia Drusilla became the liege of our enemy, so we couldn't continue attacking Beowulf. But then Beowulf liberated. There is a war now between him and his former liege, which was very convenient for me because I used that excuse to attack Axum and take it immediately, obviously, because this guy is just too weak to defend from me. And now I'm maybe trying to go for a cat to finish the war quickly. Anyway, with the Hawaiians we got actually all of the agrarian stars, and obviously because of the war all of this stuff has also happened. But I should say their emblematic quarter is, well, I cannot even build anymore there. It's quite good, except if you have to build it on a lake or some weird place like this. But otherwise it was always giving me like almost 20 food. I couldn't build a lot of the emblematic units, although they sound really good. But at that point I was at peace with Beowulf, and again he was the vassal of my ally, so I couldn't really attack him or do anything, so I just stopped building units altogether. Still, I enjoyed playing with the Hawaiians. I really like that emblematic quarter. I think they can be a really strong culture, really good stuff. And now of course we are going with the New Zealanders in the contemporary era, so let's see how good they are. They have more science on coastal water and ocean. Of course I have a lot of these, so this is going to be very strong for my scientific development. They are after all a scientist culture, so that's going to be very good for us. And we get once again influence. All of the oceanic cultures are getting influence. This is very interesting. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think they wanted to go that way to make them a bit more let's say a bit more viable for different type of strategies, not focus on one thing only. A lot of stability here on adjacent coastal waters and so on. Stability pretty much is already fixed in my empire, but I will try to go for a few of those anyway, just for the influence. And we have some polar base. What is this? Oh, more science on adjacent sterile terrain. I don't think I have a lot of that, but I will still try to build them and see how it goes. As you can see here, we have 2 emblematic quarters and no emblematic units, so the exact opposite to what we had with the Pirates of the Caribbean. And as we enter the contemporary era, we see that we can claim a full new wonder, the Mauna Kea Observatory. So on Mauna Kea, I don't exactly know how to pronounce this one. Again, if you guys know, please let me know in the comments. Interesting. We do have some alliances, so that could be nice. And obviously more science per number of trade routes will be very strong because I have a lot of those. Well, it's only turn 172 and we are already winning the game. We're already in first place, although second and third are fairly close. And this is the sailing club, and you can see here I get a ton of stability from it, and also a ton of influence for sure. But basically if you had any troubles still in the contemporary era with stability playing with New Zealand, you'll have 0. Well, I managed to finally build one of these polar bases. I conquered Mogadishu here because I didn't have any oil sources inside my own territory, so I conquered this independent city. And we can see here, let's see, the artwork for the polar base, and this is the other district that I built so many of. No, this is a harbor, sorry, this is the other district, the sailing club. I have a ton of these ones, but the polar base not so easy to get because I obviously didn't have so much sterile terrain. Anyway, we are getting 60 science from one district alone, so we can see that it's very strong, but of course only if you actually have cities close to the pole. Well, as we enter turn 190, I decided to just win the game. I built the Mars colony. I have Mogadishu here. This is my starting continent. This is some land that I conquered from Beowulf. And this is a city that I built much later. That's why it has a Polynesian name. well, not a Polynesian name, sorry. I think this was in the times of the Hawaiian culture that I built, Waikiki, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I built the Mars colony, so I'm going to end the game because we are already winning here. My evaluation in general is that, well, I didn't notice such a huge change in naval battles, but it is relevant at least. It should be more fun from now on. The line ships, the main ship of every navy, they are expensive but really super strong, so it's worth it to have at least one of them in every one of your navies. The disruption of trade routes is very interesting, assuming you play with, being an ally of only a few of the guys that are around you. It should be easier, I imagine, to plunder trade routes inland, but I just wanted to check the naval features as well. That's why I made this map with just 4 continents. And as you can see, a lot of ocean between them. Apart from that, I think the new trading system, the new resource system is much more fun. I had very few horses in my starting continent, but then eventually I started trading for them, and that's when I started building the animal barns, because that's when they start being really relevant. As you can see at this point, it would be plus 38 per animal barn in terms of food. Forges, with the amount of copper that I'm buying from everyone, is just insane. So yeah, very interesting stuff. The cumulative effect of luxury is a much better system than the one we had at the beginning of the game. So this is probably my favorite change of this update. It's very good. It impacts the game in a way that is much more interesting, much more appealing, at least to me, and much more strategic, and it also makes more sense. So all in all, this is just a great change. I'm really loving it. And when it comes to the new oceanic cultures, I think the second half of the game has the strongest ones. I was not very impressed with the early cultures of the Oceanic DLC, and I did not try the Maori yet. They are in the early modern era, and with this in this game we play with the Caribbean pirates, which look like a lot of fun, but you need a lot of sea trade routes for them to actually be really fun. That being said, the Buccaneers are a good, unique unit because they can move and attack at the same time. I like the arquebusiers that they are replacing. The moment the update is officially released, I think that's September 11th, I will start a game, I will start recording, and I will upload a game with all of the Oceanic DLC cultures, including the early ones. Even if they are very weak, I will try to make it work somehow. But I recommend you guys that you subscribe to the channel, of course, if you want to see how these new cultures work. And apart from that, please remember to hit the like button, and as usual, thank you very much for watching.